nobody talks about the burnout that comes from choosing to be a responsible person. We are not talking about like the burnout that comes from, the day-to-day hustle. My boss is a toxic person, or I have too much burden at work. We are talking about the burnout that slowly creeps up on people who decide to consistently show up and pick up their responsibilities. I haven't heard this said much, or maybe I'm not in spaces that talks about this much, but I think it occurred to me, and then I I wanted to talk about it. For most people, showing up, like being a responsible person, takes a toll. Like when I say responsible person, I'm not talking about like in a condescending way, or I'm a responsible adult, no. Like the quiet one, like the one that you make yourself available for people to have a shoulder to lean on. You try to be the go-to person for most people, even for family, friends, whatever. That is the type of responsibility I'm talking about. And most often than not, that sort of eats away at the people who decide and choose to be like that. Welcome to another episode of Diaries of a Diasporan. By the way, they've asked me to change the name. What do you think?
Well, I don't know.
Well, we will see how it goes. I've been asked to change the name, or like the name of the channel itself.
Suggest.
Yeah. So we are going to take suggestions. But yes, for now, it's a Diaries of a Diasporan. The culture. Here is a context that I think matters. I think we are living in an era where everything is self-centric. We are living in an era of the self, main character energy, soft life, protect your peace, and then the romanticization. Hey, that's not being crazy. the romanticization of life, like or the self, with a detriment to everything else. I think the main character energy and then the era of the self originated from a really good place where people, given the current world, are exhausted. And my argument to that is it has nothing to do with being responsible for other people. It contributes, being responsible to other people contributes somewhat to that. But then I think it is because of the current climate that we live in. We are living in an era where you have to go to work every day, and then on top of all that, you are not getting paid enough. And then you have to come back again and then start showing up for other people, and then like start making, like being available, being a shoulder to lean on, stuff like that. I think that is where the origination of find your peace comes from. Because I think if the whole culture of grind mindset, the hustle mindset did not exist, the idea of find your peace would not be as prevalent as it is right now. I think that it was fine for people to start saying, I want to find my peace because, or start listening to people who said you should find your peace, soft life and whatever.
But then are we really in soft life? Yeah. Me, I'm thinking like from like personal experience, coming from our side of the world, even though that is the new wave, it has not sunk in most yet.
Okay. So then my point here is, why are we listening to those people? My point is not that you are living a soft life. Right now, more attention is being given to people who keep saying, find your peace, live a soft life. That is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying everybody's living the soft life. I'm saying everybody is really trying to do that now, and we are giving ears to people who keep saying that. And I think it comes from a good place, or it started from a good place, and I think it is bleeding into something totally different, right? Right now,
I'm not coming from the negative perspective. I'm coming from the perspective that, like, yes, having your own peace, like, is good for your mental health even. But then you as an individual trying to find your mental health, your surrounding or your society, your community does not understand it. It takes it out of context, painting you in a different light.
Okay, that's where we agree to disagree. I think that the it is not that society is misunderstanding. It is not that society is understanding, because the result of find your peace right now, it's not society misunderstanding us and they're looking at somebody taking their peace and then misunderstanding. I think society right now has become selfish because people keep saying find your peace. Like, because people keep saying find your peace, listen to yourself, soft life, be you. Like, do you understand? I think because of that conversation, society has become too selfish. Maybe that's just a single man's opinion, right? But I'm not saying you shouldn't find your peace. I think we are going to address that later in the video. But then the point here is the talk about be you, self is too much, right? Because if you think about it, really, the reason why we have flourished as a species or society or whatever is precisely because we did not just think about ourselves, right? And then that is what I wanted to bring across. There is a burnout to doing that, and I think the result of that burnout is what we are experiencing now in terms of, selfishness, right? Okay, the choose yourself conversation has been now misappropriated and co-opted, and then now our generation specifically have made it so that the individuals are quite hostile to any sense of responsibility. For example, you meet somebody, you go out, right? I'm not saying drinking is bad. You go out and then you meet somebody who says, I don't drink. Let me tell you for a fact, in Ghana, if you go to a party, you go to a house party or whatever, and then you tell somebody, I don't drink, immediately you'll be labeled as a John. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, why does the person have to be labeled as a John? The person is not saying that, oh, I don't drink because of religious reasons. That's not a reason. For me, for example, I can go out and not drink. I'll tell you, I don't drink. Even though I drink like once or twice in like 6 months or something, right? If I say I don't drink, immediately I'm tagged as, ugh, right? I think that is irresponsible. That is like a very small thing, but then I think it's a bigger picture of that. One time I would relay a personal story. For example, some time ago, like I was reading computer engineering in school, and then I think some random person, right, random to you guys, but I sort of know this person, walked up to me and was like, hey, we are really good with computers, why don't we try to do some scamming, or like we do some stealing of people's credit card and X, Y, and Z. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then the person was like, I don't know what you're drawing now. And I'm like, huh? I like the fact that I have morals doesn't, like, because I'm presented with an opportunity to do something, I chose to be a responsible person. I was like, nah, it doesn't make sense for me to be able to do that. Or it doesn't make sense for me to do that. I was labeled as, you are weird. And I'm like, no, I think the standard, the base should be that I'm not going to do that. And then the weirdness should be, I am going to go out of my way to,
Take
advantage of someone.
ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't lend any credibility or responsibility to anybody, because everybody has shunned their responsibility.
But in our current generation, the metrics of being like, hey, Charlie, you're on top or you are the ish is really weird.
Yes.
And for me, for the longest time, I have been labeled as weird because I don't do most of the things that people my age or people our age would enjoy doing. So I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But then that is where we find ourselves.
But I'm saying, even though we are finding ourselves, I think it is inherently not okay for the place to be like that, even though we find ourselves in that. That's what I'm trying to say. And then I think I'm deteriorating from the topic a little bit. The idea of constantly saying, I am going to be the responsible person. I know the responsible thing I've said right now is about morals and goodness, but that's not exactly what I'm saying. There are other forms of responsibility, like showing up for family, being there for someone, and da da da. The fact that you are going to consciously be like, I am going to be there for my people, I'm going to be there for my family, I'm going to be there for friends, I'm going to hold it down for people, constantly eats away at you. And then the crude way that we are trying to address the situation here is, fuck everybody, sorry. Fuck everybody, I am going to be me, right? And I think that's a terrible way of going about it. The cost that nobody talks about here is when you constantly try to show up, right? And then you use that conscious effort. The ability to be persistent, the ability to constantly be able to do that requires you never to turn off yourself to be like, I'm going to go in autopilot mode, because it means that every single step you are going to take has to be to some degree calculated. You have to be like, I am choosing this because of the effects it may have for friends, for people who depend on me, or I want to be that person who is there for people, right? It's this thing where you fetch a pile of sand by the beach, right? And then you are there, even though it's a mountain in the beginning, while the beach comes and then washes away. In this case, that wash away is like someone coming in and leaning on you. It erodes a piece of you away. That is not supposed to be a bad thing technically, but then when people lean on you, that's what I think. It washes the sand away bit by bit, and then this mound reduces in height, reduces until it is gone, and then that is where like you don't see it when you're by the beach. You wouldn't see the sands being eroded away. It's a gradual and then very, very slow process. It doesn't mean you are not capable. It doesn't mean that like people are being bad. It just means that is the cost of being like, of choosing to be a responsible person.
I'm actually holding back.
Yeah.
But then I think it's good.
Yeah.
But me, I think like I've been thinking a lot lately, and then I regret being responsible.
Okay.
I regret choosing to be responsible because people become dependent on you. And I'm talking as responsible as being there for people, not like specifically about that. People depend on you and you keep giving and giving and giving. And then you find out that because you show up,
they take
people
advantage.
don't think you also, no, not advantage.
People don't think
you also,
yes,
like,
yes. That's one of the things. It's the thing of, because people do not realize that you also need somebody to depend on. You then do not have anybody to repile up the sand. You don't have anybody else to be like, oh, this is like going down, so let's fix this.
In the case you have created, you are like the foundation.
Yes.
And then you're like the solid, and
yes, and
so
then everybody
like,
else
is taking. So why are we coming to console you, or why are like you are the one providing?
Exactly. And then that's how it looks like from the outside. From the outside, it looks like you are this steady structure and you are unwavering, right? Because from the outside, nobody sees that you are burned out. The only thing they see is this pillar of hope that they come to, and then they come to hope, and then they come to and then they come to you for this, stability, like you said, the foundation. And then I don't think people talk about this. I don't think we are talking about this enough. Like, let me address something that you said, which is you regret choosing to be a responsible person. I think it shouldn't be a regret. I understand, because I've been with you. I know.
If I was to go back, I wouldn't do it again. But in giving my personality, I would do it. I
don't want to chuck this to your personality. I want you to say, like, by the end of this video, at least, I want someone to say that if I were to go back again, even though responsibility is exhausting, I will choose it anyways, but then I would do it slightly different, right? Which is something I'm going to talk about at the end of the video. We want to choose to do it slightly differently. What I would employ is that it should be a different route, even though yes, you are still choosing to be responsible. There are things we can do that would avoid this sort of burnout, right? And yeah, I'm tired from being a reliable person, or I am tired from making good decisions is a ridiculous thing to say. But is it question, right? Is it? But then it's complicated. I think it's complicated to say. I am tired of making good decisions. I think I've been there before. I'm like, why don't I just make one single bad decision and then it's fine?
Who told you all the decisions you make are good decisions?
No, I would like to believe that I'm a responsible person.
Well, you can be responsible and make bad decisions. The fact that you're making a decision as a responsible person does not mean it's a good decision.
Oh, that's a good point. The fact that you're a responsible person doesn't mean that all decisions that you make are actually good. That's actually a very good point. Yeah. And then you should, as a responsible person, you should lend yourself to mistakes. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. I actually didn't think about
that. Give me another 50 pounds.
Yeah. I think, yes, that's actually really, really insightful. The fact that you're a responsible person does not mean that you cannot make bad decisions. That's true. And then you should give yourself some room to do so.
And sometimes the decision you take genuinely to in a step of being responsible may not have been the good decision for that situation.
Yes.
For example, in this scenario, you have to buy a desktop for your work at home, but then back home you are being called to, let's say, support the house
money
with money, but the money you have to use it for work, do something, and then they are calling you back.
Yes.
Home. So at this point, you say I'm a responsible person, so but then this is your source of income.
Yeah, I do think that's a lot of the struggle that comes with choosing responsibility. I think this would easily segue into what we think the solution is. The honest truth here is there is no solution. These are my thoughts, actually. These are things that I have actually tried thinking about, and then I have sort of come with a framework of how to manage the burnout, because I have felt that burnout. I have felt the burnout.
But I don't feel like your solution is realistic, but
no, I haven't said any solution yet.
No, but then knowing you personally, what you apply, you know how to just switch when you need to.
That has taken years of practice, but that's why people think I do not have any emotion, because I can just switch and then be like, okay, now let's move to this thing. But no, don't worry, she knows what she's talking about. But yeah, the solution, the honest truth here is I don't have a solution. I don't have a one-size-fits-all solution. The only thing here is that the first step is to acknowledge the fact that this is a real thing. You could get burned out by just being a good person, or choosing to be responsible for others, choosing to choose responsibility, like I want to put it. Choosing to choose responsibility. That's crazy. But one of the things here is, as a person choosing responsibility or choosing to choose responsibility, you should realize that yourself, you have a responsibility to yourself as well. It has nothing to do with choose your peace or choose yourself. No, that's not what I'm saying. But there is a responsibility to the self. You have to choose yourself, and that is where you don't have to choose yourself. You have to choose to be responsible for yourself as well. Or you have to realize that there is a responsibility to the self, and then it comes in twofold.
But
right?
It's not as easy as you make it sound.
I think it is as easy as I'm making it sound, because you have to realize that you yourself, you are not God. Like, you are not a divine entity that does not need help. Realizing that as a person, you need something. And that is a responsibility that somebody has to take up. Is you, like, this is not crazy. You have to know that you need something.
No, but then that's what
I mean. That's what I mean by responsibility.
Like, so for most people, not start what you cannot finish. So immediately you start something, they presume that, okay, omnipotent and omnidoers.
Okay, yes, that's what I'm doing.
You don't need a break.
Okay, now that's the thing. I'm not saying just take a break, because in some situations that does not work. I'm saying that in situations where, because the paradox of being a responsible person is that you forget that you have to be responsible for yourself as well. That's why I made mention of that. You forget
that's why
that
I married you.
You have to realize that you are responsible for yourself as well, and you have to start, like, looking at it in that light. There are two ways to, like, try it, or at least what I have thought of. Maybe you may have a lot more. Please put in the comments if you have a lot more,
like a coping mechanism.
A lot other coping mechanisms. If you realize that you are responsible for it, or there is a responsibility to the self as well, you can port that responsibility to someone else. You can lean on someone. That's the most.
But then
Sonda. You cannot. No. You cannot say yes, Sonda. But, like, you cannot just say that. Like, what I'm trying to say is, you have to realize that you are not an island, and there are genuine people, regardless of the sea of bad people or whatever. There are genuine people in your life who are ready for you to lean on them. And you have to realize that the thing here is, when you are choosing to be responsible, you forget that you can do that. Like, you really do.
Yeah.
So even the Sonda thing that I'm talking about still leans in here. You have to realize that, oh, I myself, I need something. If I cannot take care of it myself, I have to lean on someone. And that person has their own. No, but the person is ready. Like, you are not the only responsible person on the planet. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, you are not the only person who is like, no, you are not the only person who makes good decisions, or you are not the only person who chooses to be responsible. There are people, at least one person loves you, your mom. Like, what are we doing? But, like, at least, right? At least there is one person in your corner who is ready for you to lean on them. Like, the way you are available for someone else, there is one person. There should be one person, or it is your responsibility as a responsible person to find that one person that is ready for you to lean on. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you can take care of yourself too, that's where maybe choosing yourself to some degree helps. But then you have to find that person to lean on. You have to be ready to lean on someone. And I think that's also that's you choosing to be responsible. Lean on someone. Let someone take, like, care of the sand that is being washed away by the beach. And then I think a holiday does not cut it. I'm going on a holiday. I am going to sleep more.
Hey, baby. Hey,
calculated.
What should that?
But yes, acknowledging that there is a cost, realizing that you can mitigate the cost through responsibility, and then porting that responsibility to someone else could be helpful. And that's how a community is created. Because you need a community. Yeah, you do. We said that in a previous video. You do need a community, and how to create a community. A community exists when other people know that they can lean on other people, or they can help other people. Like, that's how it works. So you are not an island. Just let yourself go a little bit as a responsible person, and then rely on someone else. Let someone else take the charge, at least in the slightest bit. So yeah. I'm like I said, I want to think of myself as a responsible person, and I am choosing to be responsible. I'm choosing to be there for other people. I'm choosing to prioritize other people. I'm not going to just be like me. At least that's what I'm trying to do. And then I'm also realizing very slowly that someone like you, someone like my wife, is somebody who is there rooting for me. And then I'm hopefully also rooting for you in the stands. And then we can lean on each other for it to make sense. And then the burden of like, oh, everything is just washing over me, I am burned out for making good decisions, is like sort of, mitigated with each other's presence in our lives. And then that's something positive in life. At least I am a very big I am a big pessimist, but at least that's something I find interesting in life, that like I found somebody who's like, up to be on.
Me, this is my advice. Being responsible is not that bad. Even though it comes with a lot of headache.
It's not that bad.
At the end of the day, you save yourself from saving yourself out of situations you would find yourself if you had not been responsible.
Yeah.
But then, I've seen this again. I'm beginning to realize that people can be very, very, very manipulative and wicked. So even though you are responsible,
beware.
Comment in the comment section your coping mechanism.
Yes, let us know what
you think,
what you think, and how it feels like to prioritize being a responsible person. Comment if you would choose being responsible, or maybe you are not. I don't know. Maybe you are not responsible. I don't know. But do comment, like, if you were to redo this again, would you choose to be responsible, or if there had been moments that you have decided not to be responsible? Why was that the case? Because like I said, we like not to look at things black and white. Sometimes it could be gray in between. There may be a reason why you chose not to be responsible, and that is fine. Or you think what you did was irresponsible, but you are just serving yourself as a responsibility, not being selfish, which I'm trying to say. And then the culture currently is lending itself to too much selfishness, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. So what do you think? And this has been Hope and his wife on the Diaries of Diasporan.
His wife
And now we don't even know how to outro the video.
And because we don't want to be cringe. Peace out.